Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, good afternoon, or good night for those who are watching my group presentation video. I hope you are in good health. I am Salsadila Ningsih from Good 7 as the moderator in presentation entitled Problem and Challenge of Education in Papua. I will introduce my group of 6 people with 1 moderator and 5 presenter. I am moderator. The first speaker was Dessy. The second speaker was Ervina. The third speaker was Septia. And the last speaker was Ningsih and Ghefira. We will discuss about what are the challenges of education in Papua, how the choice challenge affect the education of Papuan children, and what are the reasons why there are educational challenges for Papuan children. Okay guys, we will discuss the challenge of education in Papua, which will be explained by Dessy.
The main problem is that economic, culture, and geographic access conditions limit many children in Eastern Indonesia to even basic education. There are still many people who do not care about the importance of education for children, or many are experiencing economic difficulties so that they cannot afford to send their children to school. Many West Papuan residents think that it is better to work than school, and many children in Papua are already working to help their parents. The obstacles in the development of education in Papua are the vast area that makes the distance far apart, and the low national status. In addition, the civilization of traditional societies also causes other classes because the system in schools is very dominant with a disciplined system, so that various adjustments must be made socially and culturally.
Thanks for the explanation, Dessy. That is the challenge of education in Papua. Let's move on the next topic, namely about how the challenge of education in Papua were explained by Ervina.
The obstacle in the development of education in Papua is the vastness of the area that make distance far apart and the low nutritional status. In addition, the traditional society also causes other classes because in school, discipline system is very dominant and very important, so that various adjustments must be made socially and culturally. The difficulty of education challenge in Papua is due to the culture and the tradition of Papuan people. They always find food from one place to another place in swampy area. From that, Papuan children not have basic education because they join the parent to work or just find food.
That's the explanation from Ervina about how education in Papua today. I want to move on to the next point about the reasons why education in Papua faced soon stocks challenge, which will be explained by Septia.
Why education in Papua experience challenge and problem? Because the main problem is the first, Papua various geographical condition and location. The difficulty of access for teachers who want to teach in remote area of Papua is very difficult to reach and takes days to get to school. The following is a picture of condition in West Papua. Then, Papua residents who live in the interior of Papua still depend on nature and are still steeped in tradition because they think that education is not important, and Papua children choose to work and help their parents. This is a picture of people in the interior of West Papua. The second is the limited infrastructure in West Papua. There are many teachers in Indonesia, but only a few are ready to be placed in remote area of Papua because of their limited access and infrastructure. Like this picture shown that school buildings in West Papua are still not suitable to be occupied, and school buildings that have been built need to be renovated. The third problem is language. Many people living in the interior of Papua do not speak Indonesia, but use their own local language. Meanwhile, teachers who to teach do not have ability to master the language of population area.
Thank you, Septia. That is the reason why education in Papua has many challenges. Continue to the next material, namely the conclusion of the challenge and problem of education in Papua, explained by Fajar and Ghefira.
Therefore, it can be concluded that illiteracy rates in Papua province still exist. Second, the provision of facilities and infrastructure that is lacking and is almost close to a school. And third, literacy problem that result from low interest in reading, because the books are not attractive to students. Education problem in Papua must be addressed by the government in relation to education service. The shortage of primary school teachers in remote areas has resulted in the learning process not being carried out properly. In Papua, the number of primary school is only 40 boarding. The number of teachers is 167 and number of students of 3,561. From data above can consolidate that its lack of education in Papua is still very clear. It takes extraordinary solution to improve the education sector in Papua, not because of the bigness of the infrastructure, but the mindset of the people that has not placed education as the high priority. Before improving the facilities and infrastructure of Papua, it is necessary to first improve the equality in educator, because in Papua there are not many elementary schools who are undergrad but only senior high school graduates.
Here I will present some solutions to alleviate the problems and challenges of education in West Papua. First, teacher mingling with the community and establishing communication with parents and the community. Second, strengthening public participation in the development agenda, especially in the current era of globalization. Third, fulfill standardized educational facilities and develop contextual local curricula by taking into account the regional typology in Papua. Fourth, preparing local teachers through strengthening teacher education schools in Papua. Fifth, governance intervention use reward and punishment scams 103. For example, BOS funds and teacher certification.
Thank you for the explanation as well as the conclusion from the Anis and Ghefira. It turns out that in Papua, the primary school is still very minimal, and still in their need of a larger number of teaching staff, and residents of the interior also really needed improved access to support their economy and also the streamline their children's education. We arrived at the end of the presentation. Thank you for your attention. If there was an unclear explanation and if there was a wrong word from our group, apologies profusely. Finally, Said, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.